Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining us on this program. Today, Ogun Political Arena is the program. This is where we'll talk about issues that affect politics, that concerns politics rather, in Ogun State, the gateway state. We are also doing a countdown to the 2023 general elections, and of course a lot of people are concerned about what will become of the state. On this program, we'll talk to bigwigs, those who are actually in the front burner of political events in the gateway states. And on the edition today, we have someone who is now a national figure when you talk about politics, not just in Ogun State, but in Nigeria, but then he's from Ogun State. Our guest today is the spokesperson of the Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign in the 2019 general elections. Mr. Segun Sowunmi is the chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you very much and welcome to the program, Mr. Sowunmi.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's start with this. On national televisions today in Nigeria, almost everybody knows Segun Sowunmi. Where did you start from? How did you venture into politics?
For starters, I was born in 1969 to a military officer, Chief Abiodun from Casey in Abiodun, South Local Government. You asked the question, how did I get into politics? I think I was always in politics. I always told people things around policies and answer questions around the nation, even as a young boy. But one beautiful day, I was sitting down having a very decent German breakfast in one office. And a newspaper in foreign land carried a headline that, oh, Nigerian military dictator holds everybody down. There was Abiodun going in the black parade, that iconic picture with his green mustache. There was MQ Abiodun behind, but everything just looked. So I asked the question, what's the meaning of this? And what propelled that question was, look, and they were very senior, respected members of the European community, incidentally at that table with me. And I could speak a bit of German, but reading it, you learn to speak before you can learn to read foreign languages, especially when you're not in school there. So I asked the question, look, when in our country, we used to think that if MK Abiola picked a piece of paper and wrote a figure on it, it automatically translated to the fact that even banks could respect it. They used to relish us a story that if MK Abiola got into any airport in the world and he didn't even have any money, that he would be allowed to pass. So how can these people be seated in jail and nothing will happen? That was the beginning of my foray into politics. I think what drove me to it was a privileged opportunity to understand the kinds of huge conspiracies that was holding the Africans down. When you start to have answers to questions like, why did Thomas Sankara have to die? The complicity of Europeans in all of that. What is responsible for these coups? Who backs them and all that? There's no way all of that will be hitting your mind, and you'll have a situation where you can be asking questions from global players as to what exactly was the behind the scene actions there. And your country was the way it was then, and you will not be interested. I'm not even sure that all of my life, my interest was contesting elections, no. When I came back to Nigeria, I started doing all that. Governor Daniel was coming in, and his vision, land of my dream, one of my cousins, Jeremy Oke, is now a professor of law, gave me that book. I was going to London. I read it through the plane, the aircraft, and I saw that a lot of great ideas were expressed in the book. So when I got to Europe, I gave it to a kind of team of top researchers because I was just near them by proximity. I told them to read that book and research and tell me, because we had already started worrying about the African question then. And they told me that, if these ideas in this book can be implemented, even 20% or 30% of them, you will create an oasis around there. So I then decided that, okay, I'll come and try and see what he's doing. So talking on television actually was because I wanted to find it in Europe. You see how they talk programs, these things we do. their own government has a system where people at the background sieve and collect information, ideas there, and then they find solutions to some problems there. So I thought that I could stimulate the Nigerian government or the Nigerian nation in that direction. So I was always attending with the intention mainly to teach, because I knew I had a lot of strong views and a lot of strong and well-researched opinion on things. One beautiful day, I think his wife more than him, watched the program. I think I was on air with Chief Judge before I wrote. Then he was not even chairman yet, and they started looking for me. And before we knew what was happening, Daniel told me what the issues were. Okay, let me see what I can do to help. I did. He didn't take, and I left him with his. I didn't even know what time in his table. I just did what I needed to do, and I left him. A few weeks or so later, for some reason which I couldn't really, I can't explain it today, the immediate past governor, now Senator of the Central, got beaten up in Abiodun for campaign. So do a nexus to the kind of person I said I was, and try and imagine how livid I would be. Because I thought that civilian persuasive democracy must include and necessarily have one major issue. People must be allowed to contest. You can beat them in the polls, you can win them in contest, but it will no longer be democracy if they couldn't. So I was more than mad. Being an Obama myself, I'm wondering why somebody would be beaten up in his own father's land. Long and short, Chief Judge Abiodun and brought me and Amosu together with a view to standing by him. He thought he knew much then. I stood by him definitely, followed him to the officers' meetings, and delivered an earthquake of the presentation on his behalf. That same day, as we were leaving the venue, with all the police officers and everybody, Governor Daniel then and his then SSG, now Ambassador to United Kingdom, His Excellency Sharafatu Mishara, was called to go and call me even before we left the venue. The strength of what I had said would make most people run, but the sureness of the consequences made me go and meet him. And he just said he wanted to have another meeting later that day. Most people don't know. I then went to Senator Amosu's house before he converted it into that eye-catching high-rise and a few others there. I had gone to scream and shout on Daniel. Daniel had asked that I should meet him and let us have a meeting later in the evening. Because Amosu FCA, the President, Senator, former governor, that I had gone to shout on his behalf, was more scared than the person I was shouting at. He kept saying, what did Papa Obasanjo? I said, what do you mean by that? What did Papa Obasanjo head? Obasanjo head what? At this particular time, are we friends with Obasanjo? To let you know how and what shaped me. So, long story short.
If you have to be the governor, or if you want to become the governor, the first storm you need to weather is your party. Or should you clinch the ticket of your party? You want to challenge someone who is just about to finish his first time in office.
Who's that?
The governor. Who may want to go for a second time in office.
Thank you very much.
Just a minute, Mr. Sowunmi. Initially, when this government started, you seem to be a critic of this government. But as time goes on, it seems your vehicle is now in the reverse gear. What has changed? And do you think you can challenge Governor Abiodun? Can you grab your seat?
If you look very well, you will notice that in all of my life, I do not criticize a government for criticism's sake. I understand the difficulty of managing that complex office. And I know what they mostly contend with. I stepped into the fray for Abiodun, for instance, His Excellency. First, when he took too long to form a government. Okay. And as at the time it was taking too long to form a government, I felt he was wasting a lot of time. And I took him on. I didn't organize a riot. I didn't call people out to do misbehavior. I only penned a very strong opinion that was well circulated and well received. After that, he formed his cabinet. I gave them time. Because I do not believe that, because it's not in my party, he's governor now, from the next day in the morning, you say he cannot work well, he cannot carry out. No, that's nonsense. That's beneath me. That's for low-level, upcoming, non-visionary leaders. At my level, at the height that I operate, I expect that you should give him time to settle in and to start to implement policies. When he started implementing policies, I began to be first uncomfortable with the fact that certain things that I thought he would do immediately, he wasn't doing. But I didn't criticize him much.
Well, you did.
I used to call, I'm coming to the battle that you want to hear. I used to call him to, why don't you look at this? Why don't you look at this? Then, unfortunately, COVID came. And the whole world was shut down. So I called people around and I said, look, gentlemen, I can't criticize the governor of Ogun State now. Because I cannot demarcate my state when the whole world is looking for any advantage, any straw they can clutch onto. Therefore, please, let us leave them. What is to be gained when everybody is struggling and then you are making your own state and your governor look so bad? In any case, I was comparing him to the governors that were around. I couldn't really see how they were doing better than him, to be fair. I didn't see what they were doing anywhere that I could say, oh, it's so fantastic. So why will I carry my own child and beat him to death because all himself and his classmates are all failing? Should I not even blame their teacher? Until one beautiful day, COVID finished. And then I saw other states quickly start to project economic summits. I saw Kaduna, they did CAD 5.0. I saw Agri Summit, and I saw that this summit, this business of remarketing the state and showing that it's open for business. Ogun State is the inventor in Nigeria. It was October Green Gadanian's government, the government I served. We started Economic Summit as a subnational platform to tell people what the state had done in Ogun State. I saw that Amosu even did it. And I know that the civil service, being the respiratory of government business, there are enough people in the service with Dakpo who ought to have told him that this process is used for this, and I didn't see us do it. We didn't do our drum festival, which was our own clarion call to call people into the state to come and see the tourism potential. There are things I want. So when he didn't do that, I didn't come. One beautiful day, your colleagues are now called me and said I should assess them. And I did a clinical assessment. They are paying salary, yes. Yes. And then I, understanding what governance should be like, I concluded that they have not done anything avant-garde or top level. And I said, at best, they are running at level 13 civil servants level. What a level 13 officer is not a lowly officer. Exactly. If you send him to do something, if you tell the serving officer to prepare voucher to pay people, can't do it. He can. If you tell the level officer to go and cut the tape of commissioning what is not to be commissioned, you think he can't? So I then said, all things considered, they are running the state at best the level of level 13, which was the truth, because I hadn't seen any big idea they were pushing, and I was hurrying them up. That time was going, and then it was in their inability, because they like to procure media rats, sit down on the internet abusing people, talking anyhow, do whatever, just do as they wish. They now sent some of my junior brothers. So when they were saying all these things, as their own way of showing that they are working for their governor, I didn't abuse them. I said they are running at that level. I then thought about it very. I said, how can I make them get the point? And how can I make them see what I'm trying to say to them? And then I coined Batueyo. You know what they call Batueyo? Batueyo is something that originally, from a distance, you think is original. You have great hopes in it, like it's going to be correct gold. Then the person who was wearing it immediately came close to you. You knew that it was just some shine bubble. Just everything is just doing, but it's pure, worthless metal. Nothing near bronze, nothing near silver, nothing near precious, just colored nonsense. And then I looked at what they were doing. Wearing clothes, wearing blue shoe, blue socks, all these things. And then I said, Governor, bad to you. And because a lot of people truly saw that that was what they were doing, the thing took on a life of its own. But I told everybody, after that incident, the governor did something that has made people think maybe I had a pushback. What he did is that, you can learn from your rival too. He saw me at a function. Oh, anytime I talk about this thing, I used to be emotional because I know here, I know what Hiroshima would have done if after that kind of exchange we met. I know what Daniel would have done. Daniel would call and I know what Amosu would have tried to do, but that Abiodun, His Excellency the Governor, he disarmed me completely with his approach. He greeted me nicely, and everybody, we greeted ourselves. And I vowed when I got home to myself that, this governor that Abiodun has taught me one lesson I cannot pretend not to learn. If you don't learn, you will die. Or you go stay there. I can no longer abuse him, use indecorous language to make a point around him. Instead of that, I will find the most decorous of language, decorum, the most appropriate way to write it. And I'll tell you what I did after, when I needed to criticize him again. After that event, I just stopped doing that. And I also thought that the people of Ogun State probably just loved me to help them be abusing him so they can be laughing and dancing and be feeling happy. And I think to myself that is governance and entertainment. Anybody who wants to abuse the governor, you know his name. Go and abuse him in your name. I have seen that there's no point because he did not approach me in a manner that, he approached me in a manner that I was disarmed. They now had a situation where it was called to my attention from outside the country that elephants were being hunted in J4. And the people who brought it to my attention brought one ugly picture of an ape or something. You know what they did? If it was before the governor and I met, I would have found a name for him. That would have gone, everybody would have been jumping. Instead of that, I reduced it to a memo. I wrote him a professional memo on the need to preserve wildlife and what to do. I sent it to the governor's office. I called his commissioner. I brought his attention to it. I'm a little disappointed that the governor did not think that governors, they're not running it well. I'm disappointed that he didn't think that my memo deserves an official response. Because I could have abused them and it would have trended. But I opted that let us try the less rancorous way. Since we are all working towards the same common good, I wrote him. I know they got the letter, but it was stamped another. I would have thought that I would have minted to somebody. I would have thought that somebody would have worked on that thing. I would have thought that as a part of what you call civil engagement, I would have thought that they would have written back to say, oh, dear Mr. Sowunmi, thank you for this memo. We are working on it. I would have said, now we are on the way to America that we are trying to copy. But if I had written that memo to the Queen of England, somebody from that office will write me back to tell me they got that memo. Because I didn't want to abuse them again. And so for that reason, I lost the interest in abusing him. And I can guarantee to you, if I do proceed with this intention to govern, I am going to do a campaign absolutely devoid of insult. What I hope we're going to do is that I pray that God helps me and you will help me too. I'm praying that we're going to raise the conversation around governance to a level where the things that we'll be discussing will be issues. For instance, I'm going to be taking him on what I consider